that. So it's great. And you also get 2,000 SMSs per month. You can now divide your conversations. Start with one SMS, hi. Next one, Ndu. This is it sending messages to Ndu. Hi, Ndu, how are you doing? Those are already 10 SMSs. And we've not finished the message yet. Then you also get 17 GB of data, so you can watch a movie, CT. And then free WhatsApp. Free WhatsApp, you can do so many things on WhatsApp, can't you? You can call, you can video, you can blah, blah, blah. So the all-in-one means that your communication will never get cut off during the month. So pay once and have access to all this communication, and you never have to worry if you're going to hear the teet, 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 or the message did not go through, because you dialed *44#, and then you went to option 4, which is go monthly, and then thereafter you went to the all-in-one package, you selected and you paid. And then guess what?
You can win
Exactly.
money.
Yes.
Always. Robert Kibara is the group CEO of HF Group. He's our guest this morning. Musa, you had a question?
Yes, I want to take our guest a little back to something he said about the increase in savings that we are witnessing in the country. What are we witnessing? Is it that more money is being deposited, or is it that more people are now depositing money?
It's actually both. So more people are investing in or saving, putting in savings in banks.
Yes.
And so that has been growing over time, actually, just through this period that we've gone through. Right from COVID time, we've seen more people saving and saving in increasing amounts over time. But also we've seen people saving for houses to buy. The affordable housing, by the way, has also spurred savings, because there's a deposit that is required for affordable housing. So we, for instance, as we've seen in HFC, we've seen people investing in something called a housing development bond, which is where you save, you earn interest as you prepare to book a house in the affordable housing schemes that we have. And we've got also a product called Nyumba Yangu, where you can be able to save for your house. And it's an accredited affordable housing saving scheme. But generally, overall, across all banks, we have seen people saving more. People saving much more than before. Perhaps just thinking that because times have become a bit tougher, I need to have a little bit more. And also, I think it goes without saying that it's important to have, in situations like what we've had, especially with a bit of uncertainty around cost of things, although this year is a little bit better, we have seen people wanting to put away some more money aside. And that's good for the country. It's not good for the economy, because the more people spend money, the more economy does get spurred. But it's good for households.
So are they saving more money in Kenyan denomination, or are they saving it in foreign denominations like the dollar?
There's a whole group of people who have stashed a lot of dollars in banks. But that's a small group of people. Most of the rest of us have put saving in shillings.
The reason why I ask is, if I look at Japan is my best example. When I look at how it is, the culture in Japan and the saving culture in that part of the world, it is serious.
It is.
It is absolutely serious. But it also enables the government to borrow, which means it enables the government to do things that ordinarily it could not do.
Yeah.
But it also helps them in that they are borrowing in their own denomination. So the vagaries that we have to deal with because we borrow in foreign denominations, they do not have. Now, does that therefore mean that if we have more money now available, the government clearly enjoys borrowing, this government that we have, should then there not be a corresponding move in development vis-a-vis the borrowing that the government does? Because there is money to be borrowed.
Yeah.
And the government does borrow.
Yeah, that's true. So, it doesn't necessarily follow. Because a lot of the savings that we are seeing, obviously people putting in a lot of money in banks in Kenya, and of course in directly in government paper, that part of that goes to funding the national debt. We have now touched about 10.5 billion. We are now at 10.5 billion, no, 10.5 trillion shillings in overall national debt. So, and of course we've had very heavy repayments of the national debt over time. And that means then, see, if this money was coming back to investments in infrastructure, in things like, for instance, common user facilities for SMEs, or to fund agricultural activities, or to support basically the productive areas of the economy, then you can argue that that's now exactly the Japanese model. People save, government takes the money, plows it back to the real economy, and that then finances that now creates more opportunities for people to make more income and more money, and it is plowed back, and it's a nice, neat circle of wealth creation. The challenge we face is that a large part of that money actually goes to service the national debt, which then does not necessarily come back to people, to the real economy. That's really just where the issue is. But it's generally good for households to save. It's generally good for households to save, and it's good for people to develop a saving culture. Also, we are very used to investing in, for instance, plots and properties and all that. And it's just good to mix your investments, to mix what is liquid and what is illiquid. If you have an illness in the family and you need to sell a plot, you might not be able to do that within the days perhaps required to be able to raise the money. So there's need to balance between illiquid assets and what is liquid. So balancing between savings through whichever means that one does save, and also some of these other classes of investments that are a little bit less liquid is a good strategy as an investor.
What would you advise? What would the percentage look like? Liquid and illiquid investments.
For me, I see that it's good to have different classes. So there is a continuum, for instance. Cash is very, very liquid. You just go to the bank and withdraw your cash.
It's there.
Even if it's a fixed deposit, you can break the fixed deposit if you have to, and take care of what you need to take care of. And then you have got others that are a little bit less liquid, but you can still realize cash. For instance, there are people who invest in stocks. It might take some days for you to sell your stock, but you can still get the money. There is obviously things like government paper, treasury bills and bonds. You can still sell. It might take a few days to do that, but you can be able to sell. Then you go all the way to property, landed property. Landed property takes very long to realize that. So I think having a sort of a 50-50
would be a good mix.
It would be a good mix. Or just looking at, we normally advise people have about 3 months of income. About 3 months of income equivalent in some form of liquid assets.
Okay.
Yeah.
When you talk about property, there is of course land, and then there is homes that can be made available for rent and rental income.
Yeah.
Is that a good way of thinking?
A home or a
home ownership?
Home ownership.
Yeah, as an investment.
Yeah. So first of all, a home is not just an investment. A home is a source of security. So I see, like when we are handing over homes to new homeowners, you can just see the joy, not just for the entire family. You can just see the joy of people just walking into their own home, and also not obvious. I mean, if you're going to parent your entire life, I believe a home is the one largest investment that we normally make in this life. The one largest investment you can. If you think about a car, you'll probably buy several cars over your lifetime, or whatever else that you buy. But the home is the biggest investment that you make, and it's not just a source of. It saves you obviously paying rent, but also it is a source of security for the family. People like to feel that they own, and to be honest, if you own your home, even if things go really bad, if you lose your job or whatever happens, then you know that you have a place that is home.
You have a fallback position.
You can look for food and all these other things, but you can go home, and that's your home, and nobody can get you out of your home. So that's I think the biggest reason why people own homes. But some people also own homes to save themselves the cost of rent and all that, and that's a good thing. A coin saved is a coin earned. On the other hand, then obviously investments in real estate with regards to, for instance, rent or property, it's also a really good investment. The good thing about that is it lasts a very long time. I think the best income I've ever seen for me is rental income. Yeah, you just wait. There's an agent who manages the property. And at the end of the month, you just see SMSs from your account. people paying rent. And you've probably not been there for the last 3 months.
Yeah.
You've not visited the place for the last 3 months. And, money just coming in. So it's nice. It's passive. It lasts a long time. If a tenant doesn't give you joy, you can get another one and move on with your life. So it's actually a really good investment to own a rental property. Now, it's not easy, but what I got some advice, and which I can share with the listeners and the viewers today, sometime many years ago, from a very close relative. He told me, don't build rental properties that you would live, that you'd necessarily live in. There's always somebody who wants a roof over their head. And so
build for the market, not for you.
As a young investor, I started with Mabati houses somewhere near a flower farm, and I can tell you a 50 by 100 feet, 36 units, double on the right side, sink on the left side, and a toilet and whatever at the end.
Wow.
At the end, and those things are actually quite profitable. They are actually profitable. Many years later, I demolished them and used the Mabatis to fence somewhere else, and sold that plot to buy something else. So my point is that it is a good investment. It is a good investment. Can be passive, and it can last your entire lifetime. Yeah, you can build a house today, and you can enjoy the income from that house until you are 80, 90.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it is a really good income. And as HFC, we finance those things.
If you look at quite a high population,
Yes.
rather a high population of percentage of the population,
Yeah.
is that a place where folks are struggling with finding an extra coin to do one or two things,
Yeah.
and that's in the majority.
Yes, the majority is.
Yeah. So what would be the advice? I mean, we hear it all the time that nothing is too small for you to put aside, nothing is too small for you to invest. So from where you sit, what would it be that you're telling people? Because again, we go back to that phrase of, well, in this economy, you can't really do anything. Is that the case? Is that
No. First of all, there is always an opportunity. We always say, never waste a crisis. Yeah. In every crisis, even COVID had its own opportunities. And even now in this market, there is a lot of opportunities, and it's always good. When I think about these things, I think about three things. The first thing is that start where you are. Just start with where you are. My friends from the lake have this saying that says, "Chaka chaka."
Answer to.
Chaka chaka.
Chaka chaka.
Where answer? Wacha kuongea sana. Just start.
Just start somewhere. Yeah. Start where you are. Start with what you have. Start what you have and do what you can do. Start where you are.
With what you have.
And do what you can do. And there's no little. People wait until they get rich one day to start investing. But actually, I learned that lesson very many years ago. I was a teller in a bank many years ago, and somebody advised me, just start somewhere. Just start. And I remember those many years ago, I was working in an upcountry town. Those small, we were buying plots for 15,000, and it was a lot. Somewhere in the middle of nowhere. And it would take like 2-3 years to finish paying for 15,000 for that one plot. Those plots today, you can sell them for maybe 2 million, 3 million. That's quite a long time ago. My point is that just start where you are. And obviously, it's quite difficult. It's quite difficult for most folks. And while inflation has really come down, which helps, I think we are below now 4% as of this month, it doesn't mean that things are cheap. Because last year we saw very rapid increments in cost of living. Then there is the tax burden. All these taxes that are coming up, new ones, even the health-related one is a tax. So So it's quite tough for people, but you can balance. The best way to do this is this. When you have some income, take aside part of it before you receive it. Have it sent to a circle before you receive it.
Commit it already.
Commit it and let it. Then somehow you will find yourself fitting within what's left.
Right.
But as long as it is in your hands, like for instance, in our bank we have a product called Target Save, where you just set it on your mobile. Every month it just sends 1,000 or 2,000 or 3,000, whatever amount.
It deducts.
It deducts automatically and sends it to a kitty that you can save. And it has very high interest rates actually. One product called Fanaka has up to 16% interest.
Per annum.
Per annum.
Not per month.
So it saves. Not per month. Per annum. Yeah. You can save, but the best thing is to have it deducted upfront before you touch it. Yeah. That's what I can say.
No, that is actually very true. What you're saying is absolutely true. The literacy that Eric spoke of, I don't think it is a lack of literacy, but it is the literacy that people are attracted to.
Yeah.
Because people have this idea about what they think or believe is a good investment.
Yeah.
Land universally is accepted.
Yeah.
As a good investment, and that's why there are many scammers in the land business. Yes,
That's true.
because it is understood people want to buy land and they value it, and it's good because when you have a growing population like ours, you don't see a time when land will not be valuable, and it is true in the foreseeable future you do not. But I look at some of the more developed countries where you will find that many people actually opt to rent instead of buying houses. One, the idea of buying a house. It's not that they don't want to buy, but when you balance the amount of money you would use in buying the house vis-a-vis other interests you may have or where you can invest your money, you'd rather invest that money and use the proceeds to buy a house rather than committing the money that you have to the house.
Yeah, that's true. Several things there that you have said. I think the first one is, first of all, people confuse. People do what they like doing. You see, what is worthwhile is not always easy. Yeah, if you think about the things that you've ever done in your life,
actually,
the biggest ones.
It is never, no, not always. It is never easy.
It's never easy. Yeah, the things you've ever done in your life that you are proud about were not easy. If they were easy, anybody could do it. And so that discipline of doing what is right and not what is easy is a good stage to start. But also, honestly, sometimes people confuse either speculation with investments.
Right.
There will be somebody who will genuinely say that I am gambling for investment. Investment.
Gambling for investment.
Yeah. You're gambling as an investment. Or somebody will say I'm buying a car and it's an investment. It's not. Anything that removes money from your pocket every month is not an investment.
And it's depreciating in value.
It's depreciating in value and removes money from your pocket literally every month is not an investment. An investment is ideally something that puts money into your pocket. And the more passive it is, the more passive it is, the better. The more it doesn't require you to do anything about it. It's basically your money working for you. And it can start with even small amounts. Very, very, very small amounts and grow. So people like what they like to see. And of course, the discipline is not easy. But the more you practice, in fact, the more you save, the more you can save.
The more you save,
the more you save, the more you can save. When you start small, chaka, and then
you find yourself
because it reinforces that. It reinforces itself over time, and the more you can save, the more you can actually save. Some people also confuse investment for business. Business is very different from investment. If you go and buy whatever maftata and you want to sell it in a shop, that is business. You can make money or not. An investment is when you have made some money, you have squirreled it away somewhere where it produces a return. That is an investment. So a business and an investment are two different things. Business, you can make a profit or a loss. An investment adds money to your pocket.
You know, all these things you're saying, you can clearly see them. You know, for you they're clear.
Yeah, they are.
all those things you're saying, for many people, we hear them all the time. But then, because of the so much information, you're then lost in, okay, so which one makes sense? What doesn't? For example, if you just give the various investment options available, then someone is confused, so which one do I start with? Because this person came yesterday and told me this. The other person comes tomorrow and tells me this. Every new person makes their sound like it's a better one than the previous one, you know? So how do we, for example, as HF, do you have a branch, a way where we can come and ask questions and learn and know how to check? If I am thinking of saving, if I'm thinking of investing, if I'm thinking of, these are the basics that I should do. Do you have
We have
services?
our branches, and our people are quite well trained in terms of understanding how you can maximize the opportunities that are there in investments. But also we have got business advisors who can then advise you on business, on what you can be able to do on the business side. Just walk into any of our HFC branches and ask that. If you are looking for property, for instance, we will guide you around how to get property, which ones are safer, which would have a better return. We can then be able to advise you on all these things. And then also, there are every time there are opportunities that exist in such a time for a lower income earner, for a bigger business person, for somebody who is looking to enter in business. There are every environment, like even the one we are in, has emerging opportunities that are there. If you want to start a business, what really are the nicer, the more lucrative areas that you can be able to get into? But investment is different. Investment is the way you see a squirrel putting something in the ground that it can use one day in the future. That is really what investment is. Yeah.
Okay. Ask City.
Now, I'm saying there are those who argue that in terms of difficulties like now is when huge profits can actually be made.
Yes.
The analogy is often given during times of war.
Yes.
Where there's absolutely chaos, total chaos. And yet the opportunities that then arise, you actually find that those who are able to harness it and position themselves adequately will actually make money.
Yeah.
But how does one squirrel away money when whatever you had is being demanded of you legally through taxes and through the rising costs of everything around you?
It's actually quite difficult, and that's a very fair question. There would be people who just thinking, if I can survive one more day,
yes,
if I can be able to pay for this school fees, I can be able to pay this. And it's not always practical that people will be able to. You can't save when you have a child at home who you have not been able to. And quite honestly, it's been quite difficult
like
for many people. Thankfully, I always like being an optimist. Thankfully, there are a few things that are happening that do help. For instance, let's take the issue. I'll come back to what you have asked. I just want to paint a picture of that. There is also some hope. Food prices. If you go up North Rift, there is actually going to be a bumper harvest this year. There is very huge inflows coming from diaspora that are helping, obviously, even the shilling now, at levels of 129. So there is still some opportunities there. But it's hard for people to be able to save if they don't have the money. But what I advise people to do, and I've done that myself in the past, is whatever you are doing now, think about something else additional that you could do. Because sometimes ago when I was working in a small town, I would leave my job, and I had a small business that I was doing in the same town. And at some point, actually, that business started making more money than
the salary.
And what you ask yourself is, what is the biggest pain people are suffering? In that pain, there is an opportunity.
Opportunity in pain.
Well
in
said.
that pain.
Well said, Robert. Thank you very much for coming. People are saying they really enjoyed it. Come back.
Okay.
In fact, Peter Otieno is calling you, what is it? Robert Kibara Otieno. Chaka chaka. So Robert Kibara Otieno is the group CEO of HF Group. He's been here telling us about how navigating wealth building in Kenya's economic landscape. He'll be back for sure. It's 9 a.m. Time for the news.
Every Friday at 8 p.m., tune in to KTN Home and be part of